Hey everyone, I'm Isabel with Lawn Buddy. We're excited to share with you a mini episode of our podcast, In the Weeds, formerly known as Lawn Theory. Today we're doing something a little bit different. We've launched a lot of new features over the last year. So instead of talking about just one, we're actually going to walk through the platform together and show you how everything fits. Before we get started, I am joined today by someone new to the Lawn Buddy team, Kaitlyn Siafa.
Hi everyone, I'm Kaitlyn. I'm currently working with Lawn Buddy through the SkillBridge program, and I'm excited to be here and learn more about the platform. So I am pretty new, but I'll probably be asking some of the same questions our customers have.
Which that actually works out perfectly because we'll answer some of those questions while giving everyone a tour of the software.
So where should someone start if they're brand new to Lawn Buddy?
Everything starts right here on the dashboard. It really just gives you a snapshot of all of the parts of your business, things like total customers, your jobs for the day. There's also a notification section. And then at the bottom, we have our daily payments and our company scoreboard. Daily payments updates in real time as you get payments throughout the day. It'll give you information on that. And then company scoreboard, you can show your estimated monthly gross revenue and total revenue based off of either the monthly range, or if you switch it to the gross chart, then you're able to see paid and unpaid for both of them. And then you can set date ranges for both of those.
Okay, so when someone gets familiar with the dashboard, what's the first thing that they should set up?
So once you kind of look over the dashboard, you get familiar with it, you would then go into the customers tab. I personally prefer to look at it from list view. It's just a little bit more helpful for me. To add a new customer, you would go in and click the plus. Then it would show up with a bunch of information to input things like name, email, phone number, an address. Having at least one contact method is super important. And when you're adding in an address, choosing from the Powered by Google drop-down menu is also super important to make sure other features within the system work correctly. Next to that, you're going to have your settings and making sure you're setting those up for your customer and how they want to be taken care of. And then you're able to save them. Once you save a customer, it should bring you directly into the products, or not the products. It should bring you directly into the customer detail page. You can also get into the customer detail page just by clicking on any of your customers' names. This is what the customer detail page looks like. You're able to add in all sorts of information, things like any new phone numbers, if you have more than one email. And then under that, you have the ability to kind of toggle between all of these separate sections of Lawn Buddy. So you have things like properties, invoices, estimates, and all of the above.
Cool. So, can you add multiple properties under one customer?
Yeah. So in order to do things like add multiple properties, you're going to click create new, which is up here. And then you can easily add a new property. All you have to do is make sure you're typing it in and then again choosing from the Powered by Google drop-down menu.
Okay, that makes sense. Is there a way to import existing customers from a list?
Yeah, so if you already have a list for us, going back to just like the general customers page, you can choose to integrate all customers. If you click that button, it'll bring you into an email page that's directed at hello@lawnbuddy.com, which is where you can send in your customer list. And then our team will import your customers for you. So once you have all of your customers within the system set up the way that you want, it'll be easier to continue with creating estimates and jobs and things like invoices.
Okay, with the estimates, isn't the reoccurring estimates a new Lawn Buddy feature?
So when we go into the estimates tab and we create an estimate, which I can do here, you would go in just by selecting an existing customer and select whatever customer you would like. And then it'll pull up an address. You can create your estimate. This is what an estimate looks like. And then underneath this feature up here, we have all of our information. And then down here is where you're able to add in things to include in your estimate, and then where you can create a recurring estimate. So in order to create a recurring estimate, all you have to do is under frequency, click the box next to is it recurring? And then it'll show up down here. And here's where you're able to kind of set it up however you would like. You have the ability to choose between a lot of things, such as like days, weeks, and months. And then you can choose an end date if you do have one. This is helpful just because our estimates feature ties into our jobs tab, which can then tie into things like auto invoicing. And overall, it can definitely remove a lot of work on your end.
Okay, and can customers approve their estimates online?
So once you're done creating your estimate, you can go to the very bottom and then click send. After that, the estimate is then sent to your customer's contact method, whatever you put in when you created them. And then they're able to go into the estimate and accept or decline the bid.
Okay, and then once an estimate is accepted, do I have to recreate everything?
No. So once an estimate is accepted by the customer, it automatically becomes a job. Now we can actually head to the jobs tab and touch on some of the new features there. I personally like to look at the jobs tab from the calendar view. It's just personal preference. We do have a lot of other viewing options. I also do prefer to look at it from the week view. So once we're in the jobs tab, we can go and look at creating a new job. You can create a new job in the calendar view either by clicking on the day that you want it for, or you can click on the blue box that says new job. So when you click into that, you have a lot of information available to you. This is where you're able to select a customer, an address, add a description, and all of the above. And then if it's not coming from an estimate, you're able to set up things like if it's a one time job or a recurring job. It does look pretty similar to the way that estimates are going in and adding a date of service. And then you have the ability to choose between weeks and days and months and all of that same information.
Okay, so what are the line items that I see at the bottom there?
Yeah, so line items is also a new feature with Lawn Buddy. You're able to add in things like template items or just general items that you only want to be included this one time.
Okay. And where would I go to create template items?
Yeah, so in order to create template items for jobs and things like that, you would actually go to the products and services catalog, which is in a separate tab. So we'll go into there next. So this is what our products and services catalog looks like. It is also a new feature to Lawn Buddy. If we want to add a new item or anything like that, we can click above in the green box that says new item. And then you can see you do have the option to create items based off of time, material, and service.
Okay, so these items become template items that can be added to into jobs?
Yes. So, going in and creating your items, you would just go in and obviously give it a name. We also have things like you have the ability to add internal cost. So let's say you have a material, and the material costs $15, but you're charging a price of $30. You would be able to see that information. Inputted below in the profit margin section. But yeah, so once you create your item and save it, it'll add into this catalog. And then under the template item section in jobs or in invoices, things like that, you can quickly add any of these into the job or as a line item, which can save you time for not having to type in all of your information every single time.
Okay, what if my price changes?
So if your price changes for something that's in your products and services catalog, all you have to do is click the blue box next to that item and then click edit. And then in there, you have the ability to change as needed.
Cool.
Next, we can actually go into the invoices tab just because, again, estimates and jobs and auto invoices kind of all tie together. So we'll touch on that. In the invoices tab, you're able to have a lot of different filter settings where you can kind of set the status of all the invoices you want to see. You can change your customers, filter payment type, all of that. And then you can also always download this data to a CSV file. To create a new invoice, again, all you have to do is click the plus at the top that says new invoice. This would be for things like manually created invoices. And then just choosing a customer. I just chose a random one. And then this is what it would look like within an invoice.
Okay, so just so I'm tracking right, you can add template items and jobs to invoices?
Yes. So not only can you add template items into a job itself, but you can add them directly into an invoice. If you need to input any information quickly, you have the ability to, again, add just a one off item that doesn't include or that isn't in within the products and services catalog. And then you can add jobs as well, which is new, I believe. Um, so when you click add jobs, you're able to look at all of your jobs or just completed or open jobs. You can choose which jobs you would like to add just by clicking next to them. And then you can click add jobs. which then adds them in for you. This will add in all the information. And if you do have things like line items underneath or attached to these jobs, you will also have access to see all of those line items. These just in particular don't have any.
Okay. Can you explain to me how the auto invoice billing works?
Yeah, so this would be something that you can kind of do if you ever have to send a manual invoice. But let's say you do want to do auto invoicing. That is going to be something where you're able to kind of change the settings either based on customers, personal preference, or um, just your overall default settings. So adding in things such as jobs or template items directly into an invoice is going to be something that's more manually based. But if you're wanting to do something like auto invoicing, you can change those settings in your customer's personal settings or in your default settings. I will show you what that looks like just within a customer itself. I'm just going to go to the customers tab and then just kind of choose a random customer. We'll go with Freddy's. And then in your customer detail page, the very, very last section is going to say settings. And then this is where you're able to change those settings. So as you can see, this particular customer is set up for no auto invoicing. That's when you would do something like create a manual invoice. But you have the ability as well to choose between when a job is complete or you have a once a month option. So you can choose between either the first of the month or the 15th of the month. And so the way that that process works is if you have an estimate and the estimate is accepted, it then becomes a job. Once the job is marked complete, if you have it set for when a job is complete, then an invoice is automatically created and sent then. But if it's set up on a monthly basis, it'll create a if it's set up on a monthly basis, it'll create not a default. It'll create a draft invoice, and then as time goes on, more jobs are added in, and then it's either sent out in the middle of the month or on the first of the upcoming month.
And are all of these features available across all of the different subscription plans or
No. So just so you're aware, a lot of these features aren't included with the free plan. If you're wanting to try out the platform without limitations, we do have a 2-week free trial code to help you get started, and you're able to try all of these features out.
so can customers save their payment information or do they have to input it every time they pay an invoice?
No. So when a customer goes in to pay an invoice, they have the ability to choose whether or not they want to save card on file. Or if you would like, you can also click to add card on file. That's going to be next to the name up here in the customer details page. You're able to add that information in. Bleh. You're able to add that information in as you would like.
Okay. And how does the auto pay portion work?
So autopay works similar to how like subscriptions work. It'll take directly from the card you have on file. It does remove the process of a customer having to go in and manually pay an invoice, or even if you do have a card on file already, it removes the process of you having to click to collect the payment from them.
Is there a way to just bill a fixed amount every month instead of correlating it with jobs?
Yeah, so we have the auto pay option, but we also do have a separate option that doesn't tie to jobs and is separate, like all on its own. And that's going to be the subscription section. So that's going to be in a separate tab. Just going to go ahead and click to create a new subscription, just any one. And then this is kind of what you're looking like. You are able to add in all that quick information, and here is where you're able to add in whatever fixed monthly amount you want to bill. So again, this doesn't correlate with jobs. Let's say you want to just bill a strict monthly amount every single time. You would want to make sure for your customer to turn their auto invoicing to never, so you don't accidentally send an auto invoice and a subscription invoice because they aren't tied. Um, then you're able to choose when you want to invoice on. You have that first of the month option, the 15th of the month option, or subscriptions does have the option for the last of the month as well. And then you just continue to add in all the information and then save the subscription or activate it. And then that way you're able to just strictly send out a certain amount. This would be good for things like if you have like just a contract with somebody instead of doing things on a job to job basis.
Okay, I know I'm backtracking a little bit here too, but once I have my jobs created, how would I actually organize everyone's day?
Yeah, so once you have your jobs created, we will go into the optimize routes tab. In the optimize routes tab, typically your route is already optimized day of. So it happens pretty early in the morning, but you do have the option to create routes up to a week in advance as well. And it just creates the most efficient route for you. You have the ability to do things like edit your route if you do want to. You can switch jobs around and then save. But it's also easy to re optimize just by clicking the optimize button, and things are good to go. On the app, you have the ability to click on the address as well, and then it should pull up into things such as Google Maps or Apple Maps, which is helpful for giving you quick directions.
And can crews see these routes on their phone?
Yeah, so depending on the type of employee you have made your crew member, you can give them a certain amount of access. It's different for everybody. If we want to go into the crew list section, we can kind of go over what all of that entails. This is what our crew management page looks like. Here, you're able to add crews, and then also you can add employees. Um, all you have to do to add an employee is click the plus button, and then you're able to look at all of that information. Here's in the roles section is where you're able to choose between a crew, a foreman, or an admin. And that, if you wanted to kind of look into those a little bit more, read the little descriptions, you're able to give them a certain amount of access. So the foreman would get a little bit more access from crew members, and admin gets the most out of everybody.
So do employees have their own account?
Yeah, so employees do have their own account, or they can have their own account. All you have to do is once you create your employee, there's going to be an invitation box here that you can click send for, and you can always resend if for any reason they didn't receive it. It should send directly to their email, and then they can go in from there, and then clicking the link that they receive. Go in, set a password, and then they should be able to log into Lawn Buddy via the app with their own kind of account. And that's what I say or that's when I say, um, you have a certain amount of access. So when they log into their own account, they're only able to see what you give them access to see.
Okay. And I see too on the left-hand side, there's a crew map tab. What does that entail?
Yeah. So if we want to click into the crew map section, this is what it's going to look like. And you're able to track your employee's location. They just have to make sure to enable location tracking within their account once they've created their own Lawn Buddy profile. There's going to be like a sidebar menu similar to the one we have here with a location tracking tab where they're able to do that. If you click on the little pins, you're able to see all the information about that crew member.
What about the timesheets tab as well?
So this is what the timesheets tab looks like. You are able to see a lot of information. You can select date ranges. So let's say you do like biweekly payments. You can set up your start and end date for biweekly periods. Under that, you also have the ability to add in like personal time categories that you can create. And then if you want to see your employee information, all you have to do is click view and edit.
Does this record their location?
Yeah, so we do have two separate location tracking features. We have the crew map, and then we also have this separate location tracking feature within timesheets itself. So it tracks a lot of things. It tracks your total clock in time along with the time you spent at each individual job site. And then under that, it'll show the location of the job site and then how far away you were from that location when you chose to start that job. As you can see here, it is tracked in feet because typically you are supposed to be at that location. It's a good way of keeping your employees accountable.
Okay. And does it connect with the jobs automatically?
Yes. So, like I said, it does kind of correlate and give you a lot of information. In the actual app itself, an employee can choose when to start a job and then it'll loop it around and create a job site for them. So, as you can see, we have like stop one, stop two, and stop three, which correlates with all of the jobs that they did for the day, which also ties in to the routes page. So, everything kind of ties together within the platform. It looks like we are running a little bit short on time, so I did want to just briefly bring some attention to some of our other tabs. Things like our new Insights tab. This is also a new Lawn Buddy feature that just recently came out. Clicking into it, we can kind of see a lot of information regarding your platform. You can see things such as your best current customer. You can see how much you're making on average per job. A lot of information is available in this new Insights tab. We also have things such as the equipment and inventory tab, where you're able to log all of your equipment and keep track of when you need to do maintenance. Um, that's what that would look like here. And then we also have things like our checklist feature, where you're able to create checklist templates that you or your employees can use at any time. If we want to look at that really quickly, we have things like a clock in checklist, and also other things. So let's say you want to kind of look at some payment information. We have our payments tab, and then other things such as like volume calculator and project estimation.
Okay, and before we go, I know one thing just being on the phone with you that the customers ask a lot about is how they receive money after the jobs are completed.
Yeah, so if you're wanting to start receiving money based off of like when you're sending out invoices, things like that into your bank account directly, you'll want to go into the gear icon on the top right hand side and then click connect to your bank. Here's where you're able to choose your payment processor. Right now, we have two available options. We have Global Payments and we have Stripe.
Is it difficult to set up?
No, so with Global Payments or Stripe, it is a pretty quick process. The time to apply is pretty short and sweet, and you should be able to do it all online. If you do have any questions, Global Payments also does have a pretty good customer support line, and you can always reach out to us for their number. Right now, we're also partnered with Global Payments. If you choose Global Payments as your payment processor, you can currently receive up to a year free of Lawn Buddy software. It's a great opportunity if you're just getting started or if you're looking to switch payment processors from Stripe.
Well, thank you so much for showing me the platform and some of the new features. I feel like it gave me a lot more insight.
Yeah, of course. Our goal is always no, I don't like that. Um, I just feel like the ending is always like stupid. Sorry.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, of course. Our goal is always to help businesses spend less time on paperwork, and we always want them to spend more time growing their business.
And if anyone has questions about any of the features we covered, feel free to reach out.
And if you're ready to try Lawn Buddy for yourself, head over to our website and we can start you on a free trial. And thank you so much for watching In the Weeds, and we will see you in the next episode.